Episode 1 Introduction to Hazardous Waste and E-Waste.
Have you ever wondered where all of our unused electronics go? The following is a podcast on hazardous waste and e-waste. Here, Mia Yanagashio, and Andreas Musa, current students of Rutgers Prep, are here to educate you on the rising problem of hazardous waste and e-waste.
Electronics can be very useful when it comes to being able to communicate, doing everyday tasks more efficiently, and entertainment. Electronics make our lives in the modern world much easier. But where do all of our electronics go when we're done using them?
Imagine there being 40 million metric tons of discarded TVs, phones, and other electronic devices that we use in our daily lives lying right in our backyards. As these different devices begin to build up, we are creating e-waste.
E-waste is a rising problem around the world. It is a source of toxic and hazardous chemicals that can contaminate the air we breathe, as well as the water we drink and the soil we plant our plants in. This rising problem is a global issue that can affect the health of many. Not only is e-waste a rising problem around the world, but hazardous waste as well. According to U.S. News, hazardous waste is any discarded material or substance that threatens human health, the environment, because it is poisonous, dangerously chemically reactive, corrosive, or flammable. There are many examples of e-waste that can be named. It can range from keyboards to even lithium batteries.
Before we go into talking about e-waste, we should also touch on the problem with hazardous waste. E-waste and hazardous waste both allow for toxic chemicals to roam around in the air we breathe when we don't dispose of them properly.
Hazardous waste is a poisonous byproduct of operations such as manufacturing and farming. Most hazardous waste usually flows out of cities and hospitals in forms of solids, liquids, sludge, radioactive materials, or toxins.
A very common example of hazardous waste is mercury. Although it is found throughout the environment, if accumulated by either an animal or human, it can be very harmful.
If hazardous waste was to get into groundwater and or runoff water, it could be very harmful to our environment. This is because runoff water as well as groundwater could carry the toxins that were absorbed into big bodies of water. Later, it could start to harm marine life and other species living in that ecosystem.
U.S. News states that the amount of hazardous waste found in washed up or dead marine animals per year is enough to kill multiple human beings.
As we move on to e-waste, we learned that almost 70% of e-waste is shipped to China, where many are exposed to toxic materials and other dangerous conditions. Here, they are paid very low wages. Just imagine that you were in the same place as these workers. Imagine several working hours a day in very toxic and extreme conditions, only earning enough to provide for your family. Doesn't that sound awful?
These products of e-waste that these workers try to dispose of can be very harmful to the environment, and this is due to the fact that they're non-biodegradable.
According to the Oxford Dictionary, non-biodegradables mean a substance or chemical that can't be changed to a harmless natural state by the action of bacteria, which can later damage the environment. The bigger problem with non-biodegradables are that they build up extremely easily. When they're dumped in landfills, they take up space that can be used for biodegradables or objects that can be broken down.
As many people try to either shred, burn, or dismantle e-waste products, they use acid to recover valuable metals and reusable parts. As people try to do this, they are exposed to toxic metals and mercury, as well as other harmful chemicals. The remaining scraps are usually dumped into waterways, fields, or even burned in open fires.
Just by simply recycling non-biodegradables properly, many do more than just help the environment. It may also help someone on the other side of the globe.
Being able to dispose of these products becomes harder and harder when you don't have any people working to dispose of them properly. Disposing of these products puts many in places of harsh working conditions, low pay, and it makes it almost impossible to secure a stable living. People in some places like Uganda work several hours a day just to earn not even enough money to supply for their families. According to Annie Kelly, a reporter on The Guardian, the government spends over hundreds of $millions to clean up waters in Africa, but if people were just to dispose of their e-waste products and other hazardous waste properly, this would not be a problem.
Disposing of these chemicals incorrectly can affect marine life as well as other organisms. It could also poison water supplies, poison air, and take up unnecessary space.
If we just dispose of these electronics properly, this wouldn't be such a big problem. We could stop the waste from building up, taking up space, and ruining our ecosystem. Due to the fact that we aren't disposing these electronics properly, we are affecting the animal population and also our own human population.